Hello again. It's been a couple of months since I last recorded something and checked in with with myself. Really, um, it's winter now. The last time I made a video, it was creeping up on it. It was still autumn. Um, Classes have started back up again. This semester has been quite a bit more, let's just say, productive than the last one. And it's been good. It's been good. Um, Been going strong now for almost two months. So yeah, just I think maybe that's why videos took a break, is because classes had started up. I mean, that would make sense. But yeah, I'm back, and I look forward to making this video. And I want to talk about some ideas that I have for, you know, next next videos. Um, it can be hard to stay motivated to make videos, but I'm always glad that I did it. And a lot of things in life are like that, you know. It's hard to get out of bed some days. It's hard to, if you're a gym goer, it's hard to go to the gym, or it's hard to wake up early, or it's hard to go to classes some days. It's hard to eat healthy. But you're always glad that you did these things when you finally get to it. And it's interesting how that works, how motivation and you know momentum, just keeping it going. It's interesting, and I'd love to know more about that and learn about it, because I don't know a whole lot about it. I only know what has worked for me, and it hasn't been a whole lot. So yeah, um, that's one thing I think I'd like to talk about in the future eventually. But for right now, I think my focus has been on. I've been contemplating, and I've mentioned this before in videos that I've made prior to this one, but good role models and how important they can be, because you know not everyone has the same family structure or the same childhood experience. But I think if one thing is certain, it's that good role models do exist, objectively, really, and that they're good for a reason. And I also would want to take some of that video to, um, you know, uh, underline bad role models, or shed light on that as well, because that is just as frequent, or if not more so, than good ones. Um, and so yeah, I think for the next video, and that is something I've actually already been working on, and like I said, contemplating. Another thing I really want to talk about is loneliness, or being lonely. And I think that ties really well into the video I made, being lost. Um, but there's some things that I just wasn't able to talk about, and some new things, some new ideas, and some new subjects that I would want to bring up with that. Another thing would be, kind of tying into that lonely idea, would be a sense of belonging. It's something that is really important to all of us as humans. Having that place where you feel like you're safe and where you belong. Um, I think feeling lost, feeling lonely, and the importance of having a sense of belonging kind of all tie into each other, are all interrelated. And then another idea I have is bad habits. Something that eventually I would like to get around to talking and sharing about are some pretty difficult topics, for people. I like to think that I can talk about just about anything comfortably, um, because really at the end of the day, when discussion is just discussion, it's appropriate and it's just that. It's, you're doing it for, the purpose of growth. And so being open is really important, like I've talked about before. And if people can learn through my mistakes and learn from my experiences, then something good has come from them, even if they were not very good choices that I made. And so, yeah, those are just some ideas, some things that I've been thinking about, especially been thinking about the role models, and I'll have a video up about that eventually. Um, Really, for right now, like I've talked about, these videos are kind of like my video journal, helps me to keep track of how I'm doing, and whoever finds this and decides to follow along, I'd love to interact with you however you feel comfortable, because you know that's it's an important way. The best way to learn is through teaching and through sharing, and I'm all for it, but you can't learn without listening either. And if I'm always just talking, nothing good's gonna come of that. I'm sure of that. So I'm always I love to listen. Anyway, while I wrap up this video, I just want to say I love to read. I love to read and I love to write. And while I make this video, I am working on a book. On and off, I've been working on it since I started up here at college, and it's had some very rough. I've had some very rough, some tragedies associated with the book. In fact, I lost the manuscript and had to start all over. But I have, and I'm trudging along, and I'm hoping to continue progress on that just as well as these videos. So those are some of my projects. But the reason that I bring that up is because books and reading are so important, and I think we do stress this a bit in our society, that reading is important and the books are important. But my personal experience is I feel more knowledgeable and I feel like I have more understanding. I just feel more as though I'm a more intellectual person having read, even recently. And so, if you are someone who feels like that or feels like they could benefit from reading, and you're just waiting for a sign, here it is. But no, I know how difficult it can be to find something that you enjoy reading. I know how hard it can be to find a book that resonates with you. And so I want to end this video with 3 book recommendations from me that they're all unique in their own way. They're not related, really whatsoever. They're all very, very different. Very, very, very different. And so they're all good, free reign. If something sounds interesting, give it a shot. If it doesn't resonate with you, trust me, I understand that just as well as anybody. The first book I read just a few months back. It is called, and it is actually took me longer than it should have. It's called Angle of Repose. It's a great book. It's a historical fiction, realistic fiction about the lives of, it's really a family. It focuses on a family, or grandparents of the main character, the main protagonist, who's a disabled historian living in a large house in San Francisco in the semi-modern age. And he, being disabled, he doesn't really, he's kind of discontent with his life, and so he consolidates that, or he finds joy. Really, he just gets by doing genealogy and learning about his grandparents. And so we take turns in his life and then learning about his grandparents and theirs. And it's fascinating, really. It does a really, really good job of detailing the life of early America. And I really enjoyed reading it. It's a great book. If you don't know what the angle of repose is, it's a term used to describe the angle of ascent, which is like a basic trigonometry idea. But let's say you were piling sand granules on top of each other, and they reached a certain point at which the sand started to flow or fall downwards from the top. And so that highest point that you can place the sand without it falling is the angle of repose. And so, yeah, it's a fascinating idea. It's a great analogy, the title is, and it's a really good book all around. I recommend that. The second book is a book that is near and dear to my heart. I've read a few times, but I just finished reading it again recently. And it's by my favorite author, Edward Abbey. And it's a bit of a controversy. He's a bit of a controversial author, especially if you're where I'm from, the Midwestern United States. But it's kind of a cult classic following he is, and my favorite book of his is called Desert Solitaire. It's a whole lot different, and I think I would say, just to be safe, I would say that it's a lot less exciting than the other books that you could read, really, because it's about the same length, and it's a whole book about a man, Ed Abbey, living out in the wilderness in the desert by himself, and that's the whole book, right? Like, and I love it. I mean, awesome book. The way he is able to write about something so simple for so long and keep it interesting, for me, it's just fascinating. And it's a great book. It really helps me to slow down, like I've talked about so many times. And it's a great teaching opportunity, I think, in a lot of ways. But really, it's just an enjoyable book, and it's funny. It is funny. And then the third book is it's not as funny. It's a little bit more. It's a serious tone. It's actually really sad. It's really sad. And it gets sadder the more that you learn about the book, having read it. But this book is called No Longer Human. It's really popular in Japan. And I'm, really new to a lot of Japanese culture. But it's very popular there. So No Longer Human is kind of this memoir hidden in a fiction novel. And you don't really know that until you look into the book and into the author's life. But it's really fascinating just how well the author has hidden his life inside this book that he's written. And it's, yeah, as a reader and a writer, it's really made me contemplate a lot of things, really think about just a lot of aspects of my life. So if you like a book that makes you think, and you're okay with some really deep thoughts, it's a great book. But it is very sad. It's a dark book, but it's good. It's really good. It's art for sure. And so there's three books that I recommend for you if you're interested. And it's a way for me to look back on what I've been reading, and so it's a fun thing. But yeah, so thanks for watching this. Me, if I'm watching it again, this is how you were doing at this time. So keep up the good work, buddy. All right.